Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sick Vince.
And it's time once again
to recommend things.
Vince, you alright? You gonna make it?
I'm here for your viewing pleasure at my own expense. I should have called into work today, but I didn't. I'm a trooper.
Okay, well,
Starship
Vince,
Troopers.
Vince, take your time. If people need to turn up the volume a little bit, it's okay. What do you recommend today, Vince?
I'm recommending Astroboy. I'm recommending.
No, don't do that.
And then my girlfriend pulls out this DVD to watch and go, "What the?" I'm recommending Astroboy, not because it's the greatest movie, but because I found it highly entertaining. Now, I went to see this in the theaters, and I expected it to be awful, because I'd seen some Astroboy things previously, and I didn't like them. But this Astroboy, there may be a voice in there that you recognize. That's Nicolas Cage.
You're saying that's Vince?
That's me. I like this movie because I'm in it. It's not true. Nicolas Cage voices, I think his name's Dr. Tenma, the guy that creates Astroboy, and it's kind of a neat story about this. I mean, early in the movie, Tenma's boy dies. His little boy, he dies, and Tenma goes crazy, and he has to create something that's, because he's a scientist and he studies robotics, he makes Astroboy, and it was really interesting to me to see such a heartfelt, well done movie. I mean, it's nothing that's outstanding above all other movies. When you see this, you're not going to think, man, I've never seen anything like this. But it's, I find father-son stories to be touching, and I find finding yourself stories while maybe having a pointed task at hand, like one not dying. But he's a robot in society where, you know, robots are second, or whatever you call the second-class citizens. So, although pretty much all robots have some kind of sentience. So, you know, it's kind of neat. I think it's worth watching. I think there's enough talent in the movie that you guys should check it out. Yep, that's Sick Vince's recommend of Astroboy, the movie.
Vince, why are you here?
It's my apartment.
Oh, no, I mean, why am I? Whatever. Anyway, I think that movie was on Netflix. It might still be.
I think it is. It was anyway. I saw this like a week or two, or however far it was released before Where the Wild Things Are, and I sat there and watched. You know, I just saw a children's movie that was pretty good, and now I'm watching Where the Wild Things Are, which is pretty but not good.
That's what your review said.
Yeah. Actually, I think I reviewed both of these movies.
You did. Well, in fact, for a minute there, I was like, wait a minute, didn't you recommend it? No, you reviewed it back when it came out.
Yeah, but I recommend this. I managed to get this for $4 the other day, so it's definitely worth it for $4, and it's definitely worth it if you can stream it free on Netflix. And I say it's worth it even anyway. Check it out.
Well, speaking of Netflix, today I'm going to recommend something that I don't own, but I watched it on Netflix.
You're going to recommend your iPhone?
I'm going to here it is. Here it is on Netflix on my iPhone. Anyway, I'm recommending this movie not because it was brilliant, but because I found it highly entertaining. And
there's a theme to this episode.
Yeah, I know. Today I'm recommending William Shatner's The Captains, and I'm recommending this movie for Trekkies and non-Trekkies alike because if you like any of these actors outside of Star Trek, it's worth seeing Shatner's interviews with them, partially because some of it's hilarious, and partially because you might learn some things. You know, me being the giant Trekkie I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't already know, because Shatner has this way of interviewing people where he does a really good job of getting under people's skins, and he gets them to talk about things they wouldn't always talk about. It's really interesting.
That's what happens when you're condescending. You get under people's skins.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe that's part of it, and certainly he does. You know, he interrupts people like he does, and you know, there's stuff like that. But he interviews all of the main 5 actors that have played, you know, the major captains in Star Trek, as well as Chris Pine from the new movie, which was also kind of fun. And I don't know, stuff I learned from it. Scott Bakula's awesome. I don't love Captain Archer, but I love Scott Bakula. He's a really cool guy, and his section, he is really, really down to earth. And there's this really, actually, there's this very wide divide, because you have, on one end, you have Scott Bakula, who's extremely down to earth, and on the other end, you have Avery Brooks, who's really out there. Like, really out there.
He's a classically trained person, not an actor. I am Avery Brooks.
Well, no, it's a little more like kind of, but it's a little in the words of Captain Kirk in Star Trek 4. I think back in the '60s he had a little bit too much LDS. That's really what it's like. He seems a little. I mean, he's really out there, and he spends a lot of time just like playing on a piano, singing stuff he's making up off the top of his head. It's bizarre. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into it. You should see it. It's really strange. But the coolest part for me was Patrick Stewart's interview at the end, and by the way, what they did was they split these interviews up so that they're kind of topical. So like they don't do like one at a time. They kind of split the interviews up, which was kind of nice the way they edited it together. And they had Patrick Shatner had Patrick Stewart at the end talking about how even though he was a classically trained actor and he did a whole lot of work before he was ever on TV, he decided what?
I'm just thinking of him pointing a gun at plants or something.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot later. But I mean, like his whole career had been staged before he did Star Trek, with the exception of a couple of small roles in movies. And he says in this movie, he finally comes out and says At this late stage of my life, I've realized that I'm going to largely be remembered for Captain Picard and Star Trek, and I'm okay with that. And I thought that was really cool that he came out and said it the way he said it, and it seemed like a realization he came to during the course of the film, which is really interesting. But anyway, it's worth checking out. It's got some really funny stuff. It's got some depressing stuff, but it's worth watching. And then it's just got some really goofy stuff. But anyway.
Did they ask the lady who played Janeway how she felt about being evil?
No, but she, in fact, her interview has some of the more depressing parts, which I won't go into, but, and she was very interesting too. I learned a lot about her, but there was a lot of stuff about her family life and how difficult it was having kids while doing Star Trek, and about how, like, her kids did not watch Voyager and will never watch it, and they hate Star Trek because they feel like it kind of took their mother away from them, and
is depressing.
Yeah, it was depressing, yeah. So anyway, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. Like I said, for Trekkies and non-Trekkies alike, I think you'll learn something.
It's a better reason to hate Star Trek than because you like Star Wars.
Well, anyway, that's what I recommend. I'm not recommending my iPhone, although I do really like my iPhone. But anyway, so thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sick Pence.
And we'll see you next time.